Welcome everyone to the CPG webinar for administrators. Today we have the first of two general information sessions for the Episcopal Church Medical Trust 2023 Group Health Plan Renewal and Annual Enrollment webinar series. On July 27th, we'll be hosting part two, covering plan design and rate renewals. Please be on the lookout for the invitation. I am pleased to introduce today's presenters, Andrew Brown, Business Analyst for CPG's Benefits Policy, and Akina Warner, Planning Specialist with Client Relations. Welcome, Andrew and Akina. And I'm Elisa Moore, your producer for today. All right, Akina, I'll turn this over to you.
All right, thank you, Lisa, for the fabulous welcome. And thanks everyone for joining. You could turn to the next slide, Lisa. All right, so those of you who have joined us for the AE 101 webinar on June 8th, that AE Nuts and Bolts webinar, welcome back. We're glad to have you. And those of you joining us for the first time today for our first general webinar, we welcome you. So we're looking forward to covering a lot of ground today, but please note, as Lisa said, we will record this webinar and make it available afterward. As Lisa noted as well, we do have a Q&A section at the end. And if you have a more benefit-specific related question, please do reach out to our client services team or, of course, your IBM's account manager. Before we begin, we always like to make note of this, especially for our newer folks. At CPG, we love our acronyms. So at any point, if you are scratching your head and thinking to yourself, what's this alphabet soup? What does this mean? Please do not hesitate to check our administrative policy manual at cpg.org/APM as an administrative policy manual. And you'll find a glossary of some of our most used or favorite acronyms. And of course, you could always feel free to type in the chat and ask us a question. We're happy to answer it. So for today's agenda, we'll be reviewing the following topics. First up, we have the Medical Trust Plan Renewal Process and Annual Enrollment Timeline. So what it is and how you can prepare for it as a group administrator. We'll also talk about the Medical Trust Health Plan Performance. And just to be clear, we will not be releasing the average rate increase for 2023 on this webinar today. Our plan and pricing team is still hard at work, collaborating with our actuarial partners and your IBM's account specialist to arrive at the final rates, but coming soon. However, we will discuss how our plan is doing and how the Medical Trust administers comprehensive benefit programs to our clients at a fair cost. And lastly, we'll discuss the different ways the Medical Trust communicates about renewal, annual enrollment, and the tools and resources available to help you administer annual enrollment for your employees. All right, next slide, please, Lisa. And next slide again. Okay, perfect. So this slide illustrates the seamless annual journey by which the Medical Trust provides you, our clients, and our members with health benefits from planning all the way to enrollment. So beginning with policy and design, next with pricing, plan renewal, and finally ending with annual enrollment. So for more details on this, please do refer back to the AE 101 webinar. We do have that recording posted to cpg.org/ARC, the Administrator Resource Center, and check the events and webinar section. Next slide, please, Lisa. Fantastic, thank you. So this is the annual enrollment timeline. We'd like to just highlight the key dates for you. Again, we ask you to refer back to that AE 101 webinar for those more details, but the plan renewal release dates will be Thursday, August 25th. So group plan renewals is the process where the senior plan administrator goes into the system known as the Medical and Life Participant System, MLPS, and makes plan selections from your group. That will be from August 25th through September 30th. So again, let's repeat that. Renewals are released on August 25th and plan selections are due no longer than September 30th. Those of you that were on our last webinar a couple of weeks ago had some of you had some really great questions about the portal and how to access that. We'll make a little bit more note of that later, but we will review how to access those plan renewals in the system on our August 17th webinar. So please stay tuned for that. We're going to do a full walkthrough of this system. So just to highlight some other active dates, we have that first session, October 12th through November 2nd. Then we have that second session, October 26th through November 16th. And then retiree annual enrollment dates, October 17th through November 14th. And that pre-65 former employee dates, otherwise known as retirees, October 26th through November 16th. Alrighty, next slide. Okay, so as a reminder, in addition to today, there are several administrator education opportunities that occur throughout the year that we'd like to draw your attention to. So you're at one of them right now. We do host our general webinars. Our next one is coming up on July 27th. Please do check cpg.org/ARC for more information on the webinar series. We will also continue to post pre-recorded modules to the website with information of topics of interest for annual enrollment administrators. And then, as I was noting earlier, on August 17th, we'll host a web portal navigation for annual enrollment walkthrough, which will help you access the new changes to the system and a full walkthrough of what the system will look like, especially for your members, for your employees. And finally, we plan to hold our Episcopal Business Administration Conference, otherwise known as EBAC, in late September. For more details, you can check out, guess where, cpg.org/ARC, ARC, or check in with your dedicated IBAMS account manager. And the one thing we didn't know in the notes, is up on the slide, that AE admin page, cpg.org/AE admin. That's your admin resource center. Next slide, please, Lisa. And with that, I will pass it over to Andrew. Andrew, take it away.
Thanks, Takina, and hi, everybody. It's nice to be with you again this afternoon. So we'll be talking a little bit about the Medical Trust Plan Performance. This is a new segment in the AE Administrator webinar series. It's the first time that we're presenting to this audience on Medical Trust Plan Performance, enrollment statistics, financials. So we hope that you'll find this information helpful in understanding the context in which the medical trust takes rate actions, why the medical trust makes certain plan design choices and decisions, changes. So let's take it away to the next slide. Just to tee us up, to speak about the medical trust's objective. The medical trust mission is to balance access to high quality benefits while managing cost. And it is a challenge to keep that balance. We recognize that health benefits represent a substantial portion of our clients' budgets, and we recognize the enormous trust that's been placed in us by the church to faithfully administer the denominational health plan as directed by resolutions of General Convention. We're sensitive to balancing the needs of the church for cost containment with our responsibility of financial stewardship and reducing healthcare premium disparity among the diocese. So to manage that balance of value and cost, a few things. We look for opportunities to reduce our fixed costs through negotiations and group purchasing coalitions that further increase our purchasing power. We're proactive in managing risk while ensuring that our members are receiving appropriate care. We identify and implement programs that cut out inefficiency from the plan and take advantage of cost-saving opportunities. An example of this is the Save On SP, excuse me, my armrest bumping me. The Save On SP program, which is an ESI program, maximizes manufacturer copay assistance for specialty drugs. Medical Trust has struck a balance in carrying out its mission. We offer high quality health plans that provide robust benefits and broad national networks to ensure that all of our members have access to a choice of providers. We advocate on behalf of employers and employees. We have achieved competitive rating and year-over-year stability, and we strive to consistently achieve high levels of client service satisfaction. It's worthwhile to note here that there are many ways that a plan can reduce costs. Some are more aggressive than others. For example, a plan could limit access to providers or hospitals, so-called narrow networks. This could reduce plan spend, but with potential for member disruption. Likewise, a plan could could provide totally unlimited, unfettered access to any provider, basically removing a PPO network as a framework for a plan. In that instance, cost would seriously increase. So just a brief note on that. If you'll take me to the next slide, teeing up our plan performance to speak a little bit about medical trust structure. The medical trust creates, designs, and administers the vast majority of the health plans that we offer. Medical trust is self-funded, meaning we pay the claims and we bear the risk of these health plans. Medical trust is not an insurance company. We work with national vendors, for example, Anthem and Cigna, to provide our members with access to robust provider networks, lower out-of-pocket costs, and a broad range of programs and services, broader than you may find on small employer plans or in ACA exchange markets, for example. If you would take me to the next slide, please. Through the medical trust, we offer our clients 7 health plans through each of our national third-party administrators, Anthem and Cigna. That is the plan array of 4 PPOs and 3 CDHPs, which you're likely familiar with. We also offer an array of Kaiser health plans on a regional basis, and we offer an array of dental benefit plans that are administered by Cigna. The medical trust health plans include some additional benefits and services that are typically not found in plans, as mentioned, offered on health insurance exchanges or in fully insured programs. Some examples being a vision benefit, ours is administered by IMED, an employee assistance program, an advocacy service, Health Advocate, a hearing aid benefit, global travel medical assistance services, to name a few. And while other employers may provide these benefits and services, they're typically not included in the medical plan, meaning that they'll be offered at a separate rate. If you'll bring me to the next slide, here we will see an overview of our plan options, the array of plans that the medical trust offers, from which groups select during their renewal. And then to take it a step further, thinking about the medical trust's end-to-end process, the groups select their offerings from the medical trust array, and then members during annual enrollment will pick which of the group's plans they enroll in. So this chart shows where medical trust membership is concentrated by enrollment. The color of each bar here represents the actuarial value metal scale from the ACA. That is platinum, gold, silver, and bronze plans. Platinum plans being the most generous with low deductibles and generally the highest monthly premiums, all the way through bronze where premiums are typically lower, but out-of-pocket costs like deductibles and cost shares are high. So what this enrollment chart is showing us is that over 80% of the medical trust membership is enrolled in the richest of our offerings, platinum and gold plans. You can also see here that none of the medical trust plans are considered bronze level plans. If you'll bring me to the next slide, please. Here we have a picture of the medical trust financial results over the last 7 years, and this slide tells an interesting story. Starting from the left, we see that the medical trust's actual loss ratio here imposed over our target or our predicted loss ratio. The target is the solid green bar and the actual loss ratio is the red outline. Loss ratio in basic terms is the amount of premium dollars collected versus plan expenses. By plan expenses, we mean claims paid, vendor fees, administrative costs, the like. What this chart illustrates is that more than 90% of our premiums that are collected by the medical trust go directly to paying claims. And from 2015 to 2019, you can see that the actual versus the target loss ratios are pretty closely aligned. Actual loss ratios here are coming right in at about the same level as our predicted loss ratio. Where that changes, you've heard this before, where it all changed was 2020 when COVID hit. And you'll see in 2020 that the actual loss ratio, the medical trust's actual plan expenses fell far below target. This is attributable to COVID closures and deferred care. Then in 2021, claims come roaring back, outpacing our target loss ratio. The medical trust has held its average rate increase steady over this period instead of low to no rate increases followed by massive rate spikes to account for claim increases. The medical trust plans have been priced to provide predictability and stability. As mentioned, we'll be talking about the 2023 national average rate increase more in our upcoming webinar in July, so please do join us there. If you'll bring me to the next slide. Thinking back to our earlier webinar in June, if you joined us then, you may recall our discussion of factors that drive medical plan costs. We spoke generally at that time about the age of the covered population, the healthcare service utilization, that is the type, the intensity, the mix of services that are used, and the health of the covered population. Here we'll go into some details specific to the medical trust on these factors. So first, age of the covered population. The medical trust's average employee is 51 years of age, which compared to the average age of US large employers, that's in the low 40s. Each additional year of average age increases plan costs by anywhere from 2 to 4%. Depending on the benchmark that you use, claims could be 35%, even 50% higher, just given the average age of our population alone, that factor alone. The next factor we'll address here are specialty prescription drugs. Specialty drug spend represents 64% of our active member prescription drug costs. So that in terms of dollars is $22 million of our $34 million spend. And that spend is being driven by just under 1,000 individuals. For context, if you look at the specialty drug marketplace and consider drugs that are in the pipeline in development, there are an increasing number of specialty drugs that cost in excess of $100,000 per year. The final factor we'll speak to today is the impact of COVID. The medical trust took on additional costs of testing and treatment for COVID among its membership. The cost of testing and treatment resulted in an additional 3% in cost in 2021. There remains an open question as to the impact of delayed care that was deferred due to COVID shutdowns and COVID-related concerns, and the severity of other health issues that could result from delayed care. There's also the unknown impact of long COVID, long haulers. The industry has indicated that COVID could contribute up to 2% additional trend over the next couple of years. If you'll take me to the next slide. As part of our financial stewardship, the medical trust performs benchmarking of our cost to the marketplace. In a recent analysis conducted by an external consultant, we saw that the medical trust's offering is competitive to other large group plans. Medical trust plans are 3% more efficient than the average large group plan, meaning that the medical trust plans, when they're adjusted for factors such as demographics, geography, and plan design, the medical trust plans return a value, that is dollar for dollar spent, saving 3% when compared to the market. And while this result confirms that the medical trust is a competitive offering, we continue to execute our fiduciary responsibility to evaluate opportunities to drive additional efficiency, dollar for dollar savings into the plan. More on our exploration of those opportunities coming up in just a few slides. If you'll bring me to the next slide, this is another benchmark. Here we've compared the medical trust offering to the Affordable Care Act's health insurance exchanges. And this analysis shows the medical trust plan rates are lower than ACA state exchanges for over half of the diocese. Exchange plans, in order to be affordable, limit provider access. They offer in-network coverage only. They'll require referrals to see specialists. Think of HMO and EPO plan design models. These plans will use narrow networks that restrict the ability of members to choose a provider as compared to the medical trust broad national PPO networks. And as a reminder, the medical trust plans provide additional benefits and services typically not included in health insurance exchange marketplace plans. And furthermore, the medical trust provides groups with direct access to benefit account managers, your IBAM specialists, and the medical trust client services team. We would note here too that the efforts to carry out, the medical trust efforts to execute on the General Convention's Resolution B026, which among other mandates directs the medical trust to reduce the disparity of healthcare premiums among the diocese, limits our ability to be as competitive in all dioceses. Simply put, the medical trust might not be the least expensive plan for every diocese, but the resolution achieves its intent by enabling the delivery of quality healthcare to those dioceses that have fewer options. If you'll bring me to the next slide. Here we just briefly mention a few opportunities that we're evaluating, potential future changes that may help drive cost savings into our plans. These are opportunities which over the near term could improve member benefits or further manage costs. And we'll have more on 2023 plan design changes specifically when we return next month for our July webinar. What we see on the screen here, alternative networks, expert second opinion for certain surgical procedures, and updated pharmacy benefit plan design, these are all opportunities. We do our due diligence to evaluate these options in light of our mission to balance access to high quality benefits while managing cost. And finally, this next slide, the final in my segment, it's another future potential change. We acknowledge that healthcare decisions, when they're made from a place of a lack of information or expert guidance, can lead to higher costs and be detrimental to the health and well-being of members. A healthcare navigator can serve as a single point of contact for members, and it makes it easier for them to overcome barriers, engage more effectively with providers, and experience better health outcomes. With that, I think here I will turn it back over to Akina to take us through annual enrollment communications and planning.
All right, fantastic, Andrew. Lots of good information. Thank you so much. Okay, next slide, please, Lisa. All righty, so this slide is a deeper look at those key dates we talked about earlier to help you prepare for annual enrollment. So in addition to the renewal materials that you'll receive as a group administrators, we do have a couple of member-facing letters that are important for you to be aware of in case your employees reach out to you. So they are the Dependent Aging Out Letter, otherwise known as DAO, for dependents reaching the plan's limiting age and are no longer eligible for coverage. As you may know, the medical trust does allow dependent children to be covered until the end of the plan year until they reach age 30. So these letters notify the dependents and subscribers of the dependents aging out of our coverage at the end of the plan year. So important to note, dependents who reach the plan's limiting age and age out are eligible for extension of benefits effective 1/1/2023. There's also the Notice of Credible Coverage. This mailing in the fall goes to all members age 65 and older. This required notice confirms that their drug coverage is creditable, meaning comparable to Medicare prescription drug coverage. They should retain this notice as they may need it if they decide to join a Medicare drug plan. Now, depending on which session your group falls into, as communicated through your dedicated IBAM's account specialist, the key dates for the letters being mailed and annual enrollment sessions will be determined. So as a reminder of the key materials that are provided with the renewals package for you to use in communicating to your related entities and employees, there is the administrator letter templates. They're customizable to support you as a group administrator in your communication efforts regarding the plan selected and upcoming annual enrollment. There's also the plan comparison chart, which includes key benefit details for plans offered by the medical trust. And then there's the annual enrollment guide. This guide assists employees with making their annual plan elections that contains key benefit terminology and an overview of plan components and other things to consider with annual enrollment decisions. Next slide, please, Lisa. So this slide provides additional information to help you with planning. So the active member annual enrollment timeline dates are so important. We're including them on both of our planning slides here. So plans going away. Medical Trust annual enrollment is indeed passive this year. So if a member, in other words, if a member does not wish to change their coverage, and if the group continues to offer the same coverage, they do not need to log into the annual enrollment site. However, we do always encourage members to check their demographic information. Otherwise, if there's no change to their desired enrollment and the employer didn't stop offering the plan, they do not need to make selections on the annual enrollment site. So again, no plans are sunsetting with the medical trust this year. The same plan offerings will be continued to, the same plan offerings will continue for 2023. So if for plans going away for 2023, again, only applies if a participating group selects to no longer offer a plan they do not today. In that case, impacted members in a plan going away will need to make an active selection. If a member is in a plan going away and they do not make a selection through the annual enrollment site, they will not have coverage. So very important to note, worth repeating, if a participating group is no longer offering a plan that's currently a part of the array in 2022, any new members of that plan will need to pick new coverage. And of course, we do provide reports and such available. We'll talk a little bit more about how to access that in our upcoming webinar in August. So when members change networks or plan types, if members are selecting a new plan for the year, Health Advocate is absolutely available to assist them. If members are staying with the same carrier, for example, staying within Anthem or with Anthem, Cigna, or Kaiser, especially if changing plan types, so going from a PPO to a consumer-directed health plan, please note that they do have resources available. The Health Advocate can certainly assist in that. And for members who are changing networks, who are currently in treatment, we do have support and resources available to ensure continuity of care. So this includes transition of prior authorizations and assistance finding a provider through CPG client services and our health plan carrier websites. Health Advocate, again, is fantastic, or our health plan care management programs. Next slide, please, Lisa. All right, thank you. So this mint green envelope might look familiar to many of you. This is our annual enrollment communication vehicle. It's been this way for the past few years. We have our estimated mail dates for annual enrollment communications listed here. So the idea is to put this information in the member's hand about a week or so before their annual enrollment session begins. The active letter, AE letter, contains important information about how to access the enrollment site, and also includes the client number, which helps to create a login. And in an effort to make this communication stand out, we do or will continue that mint green envelope, and we find it helps administrators point their employees to look out for something. So you'll want to check to see if you received your mint green envelope from the Medical Trust during AE. And as a reminder, we do post a generic copy of the letter on cpg.org/ARC, the Administrator Resource Center, shortly after we do mail it. And feel free to share that with your employees as needed. Next slide, please, Lisa. Awesome. So this is just another reminder of the number of resources available to help you and your employees have a successful and productive annual enrollment. So administrators will mention again that the AE admin page is cpg.org/AE admin. And for your members, for your employees, we have developed an annual enrollment landing page on our website that can be accessed via cpg.org/annual enrollment. So if you go to that page now, you'll see information from last year, but we'll certainly update it for this coming annual enrollment in the days and weeks to come. So quick note, cpg.org/annual enrollment provides general information about the Medical Trust overall offerings. It is not customized to be specific for any participating group. For the group specific plan offering, the member will need to log into the annual enrollment site, which brings us to the next slide, please. So speaking of which, we're at this login screen here. So as we mentioned, during annual enrollment, a member can go into cpg.org/annual enrollment to learn more about the Medical Trust offerings and access the enrollment site. And this is through My CPG accounts. Next slide. This is a look at that centralized annual enrollment administrator page where we have all information as it relates to help you with health plan renewal, timelines, any admin news, education documents, mailings, and of course, key dates. Next slide, please. So I mentioned it at the top of the call, there were some excellent questions at our last webinar, AE 101, about how to access the system for plan selections. So please do stay tuned for our August 17th webinar, where we'll talk about annual enrollment resources and more importantly, web portal navigation. So please do check our cpg.org/ARC website for instructions on how to register on the webinar and events page. We'll talk about annual enrollment reports. We'll talk about how to monitor member activity and group progress. Also how to complete annual enrollment for your employees. And again, that web portal navigation, how do you access your plan selections for the year or plan renewals? And next slide, please. I think that brings us to our reflections and Q&A discussion. Thank you so much. Lisa, I'll pass it back over to you.
Thank you, Akina. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Akina. Thank you, Andrew, for your presentations. And thank you all for attending. We hope this session was informative and helpful to you.